I remember the night it happened. I was standing in the middle of a desert in silence, under a sky so black it looked like a portal. No moon, no wind, just an infinite canvas of stars. And then I felt this vibration, like a low hum beneath my skin. My body went still, but my soul, it moved. I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't hallucinating. I was remembering. I saw myself surrounded by what looked like light beings, some human, some not speaking in pulses, not words. And in that moment, I knew something that shattered everything I thought I understood. We are not from here. We are not just physical. We are star-chosen ones, and we came here to change this world by mastering the frequency of multiple dimensions. What you're about to hear isn't a theory. It's a remembering. And if you've ever felt like you don't belong here, like your dreams are too big for this world, like your energy doesn't match the noise of this dimension, then this is for you. Because you are one of us. You didn't land on Earth to fit in. You came here to tune in, and tuning in means working with frequency not as an idea, but as a tool. The first way we star-chosen ones manifest through interdimensional frequency is by becoming aware of our vibrational signature. You see, most people live at the surface of themselves. They react to life. They chase, they fear, they doubt. But we don't, or rather we can't, not for long. Because when we're out of alignment with our true frequency, everything in our field begins to distort. Our bodies get sick. Our relationships collapse. Our manifestations stall. That's not punishment. That's feedback. And the moment we stop blaming the world and start listening to that feedback, really listening, we begin to awaken the first layer of our interdimensional power. Your frequency is not just an aura. It's a blueprint. It's your unique code that connects you to the higher harmonics of your original star system. And when you tune into that code through meditation, through breathwork, through self-honesty, you start to emit a signal that reshapes your reality. You don't manifest by forcing outcomes. You manifest by becoming a vibrational match to the timeline you were encoded to walk. And when you do that, reality bends. You'll start to notice synchronicity stacking. People showing up that feel familiar, like soul family. Opportunities unfolding with divine timing. And you'll know you're not doing this alone. You never were.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
But let's not pretend it's always easy. The biggest challenge for star-chosen ones is density. This planet is heavy, emotionally, energetically, psychically. And when we forget who we are, we start absorbing that density. We start doubting our mission. We shrink, we hide, we try to be normal. But the thing is, you can't manifest from a frequency that's not yours. You'll feel drained, confused, blocked. That's why the second way we manifest through interdimensional frequency is by clearing interference. You must remove what's not yours. That means releasing inherited beliefs that were never aligned with your soul. That means cutting cords with people, systems, and habits that lower your frequency. That means detoxing your mind, your body, your digital space. Because manifestation isn't just about calling things in, it's about making space for what's already trying to reach you. When you clear interference, your field becomes magnetic. Not just to things, but to truth. You start receiving downloads, ideas that come out of nowhere but feel ancient. You start having dreams that feel more real than waking life. You begin to remember technologies you've never studied. That's not imagination. That's memory. Because star-chosen ones carry dormant codes, wisdom stored in the soul, encrypted through lifetimes, waiting for activation. And that activation happens when your frequency is high enough to receive it. So ask yourself, what have you been holding on to that is jamming your signal? What are you ready to release so that your true power can come online? Now here's where it gets deeper. The third way we manifest through interdimensional frequency is by collapsing the illusion of time. You've heard it before, time is not linear. But have you felt it? Have you noticed how some days stretch like eternity, while others vanish in a blink? That's because time is frequency. And when you align your vibration with higher timelines, you begin to operate outside of time. You think of someone, and they call. You say yes to something, and the opportunity shows up an hour later. That's not coincidence. That's resonance. You are syncing with the version of reality where your desire is already real. And from that space, manifestation becomes effortless. But to collapse time, you must stop living in the past. You must stop rehearsing trauma, failure, and what-ifs. Every time you replay an old wound, you anchor to the timeline that created it. And star-chosen ones cannot afford to loop. We are here to leap. That means choosing new thoughts, new emotions, new beliefs that match the timeline we are stepping into, and doing it before the evidence appears. Most people say, "I'll believe it when I see it." But we say, "I'll see it because I believe it." That's not delusion. That's quantum coherence. The fourth way we manifest is through energetic communication. You've probably already felt it. You think of a soul you've never met, and they appear. You feel someone's emotions before they speak. You dream of a place you've never been, and then you find it. That's because we don't just communicate through language. We communicate through frequency. Every thought you have is a signal. Every emotion is a transmission. Every choice is a broadcast. And when you learn to speak through energy, through intention, through alignment, through presence, you don't have to chase anything. You attract it. You become the signal that calls your destiny home. But this requires mastery, because your field is always speaking, whether you're conscious of it or not. If you're thinking lack, feeling fear, and acting from doubt, that's what you're transmitting. And the universe doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. So if you want to change your reality, change your frequency. Not just through positive thinking, but through embodiment. Feel the abundance before it arrives. Embody the love before they show up. Walk like your future self before the future lands. Because you're not waiting for it, you're tuning into it. And now I want to ask you something deep. Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when you stop performing, pretending, pleasing? That version of you, the raw, unfiltered, radiant frequency, that's the one who can manifest across dimensions. That's the you that the universe recognizes. And the more you live from that place, the more magnetic you become. Not just to things, but to truth, to purpose, to power. That's what we're really manifesting, alignment with our divine assignment. The things we attract, money, love, success, those are just reflections. The real manifestation is you, fully activated, fully remembered. The fifth way we manifest is through light codes. Sounds mystical? It is. And it's also real. Light codes are not just visual, they're vibrational. They come in through sound, geometry, language, and even music. You've probably heard a frequency that made your body tingle, seen a symbol that awakened something in you, spoken words that felt older than time. That's light code activation. And as star-chosen ones, we are both receivers and transmitters. We absorb codes through nature, through cosmic downloads, through sacred art. And we transmit codes through our voice, our creativity, our energy field. When you speak, you're not just using words. You're coding reality. That means every conversation is an opportunity to uplift or distort. Every post you make, every song you sing, every creation you birth, it carries a frequency. And that frequency ripples across dimensions. So speak with intention. Create with purpose. Move with awareness. Because you are not just manifesting for yourself. You're shaping the field for others. You're anchoring higher timelines into the grid. That's the real mission. That's the real reason we're here. The sixth way we manifest is through divine neutrality. This is the paradox. The less attached you are to the outcome, the faster it comes. Not because you don't care, but because you trust. You trust the field. You trust your signal. You trust that everything you desire is already real in a dimension you're tuning into. When you release attachment, you create space for miracles. You stop micromanaging the universe. You stop chasing. You receive. And that's the most powerful frequency of all, trust. Because trust is not passive. It is an energetic statement. A declaration that says, I remember who I am. I remember where I come from. I remember why I came. And I choose now to walk in alignment with that remembrance. There is a moment on this interdimensional journey where everything begins to accelerate. You're no longer just learning, you're remembering. You're no longer just manifesting, you're aligning. And the more you live in resonance with your original blueprint, the more your life begins to reflect that purity. This is where reality starts to bend in your favor, not because you're controlling it, but because you've become one with the current of your true frequency. You stop swimming upstream. You stop trying to force outcomes. You allow the energy of your soul to lead, and as you do, manifestation stops being a technique and starts becoming a state of being. But let me say this clearly, you cannot fake frequency. You can fake positivity. You can fake confidence. You can fake spiritual knowledge. But your field never lies. The universe responds to your real signal, not your projected mask. That's why star-chosen ones must do the inner work. We don't get to bypass. We don't get to suppress. We're here to transmute. That means sitting with our shadows, not avoiding them. That means asking, what is this trying to show me? Instead of why is this happening to me? Because every trigger, every pain, every delay is not rejection, it's redirection. It's your own frequency showing you what's still out of alignment. And when you listen deeply, the lesson activates the leap. You were never meant to manifest like everyone else. You weren't designed for hustle culture. You weren't built to grind yourself down just to survive. That's because your soul remembers a reality where manifestation happened through resonance, not resistance. And the more you return to that truth, the more effortless your life becomes. But here's the catch: the more multidimensional you become, the more sensitive you become. That's why protecting your field is essential. You can't afford to stay in environments that drain you. You can't afford to engage with people who pull you into old timelines. You must become fiercely loyal to your frequency, because that frequency is your compass, your currency, and your power. So let's talk about the frequency of desire. Most people desire from a place of lack. They want because they don't have. But star-chosen ones desire from memory. We long for things we've already tasted in other dimensions. We ache for connection, purpose, beauty, not because we're empty, but because we remember. And that memory is sacred. It's not a fantasy. It's a signal from your future self, calling you forward. So when you desire something, don't collapse into longing. Expand into resonance. Ask yourself, what version of me already lives this reality? And how can I meet them here and now? This is where embodiment becomes non-negotiable. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. So if you want to live in a higher timeline, you must move, breathe, act, and choose from that version of you now. That means walking with confidence, even when you're scared. That means speaking your truth, even when your voice shakes. That means making decisions as if your dream life is already your baseline. Because when you show the universe that you're serious, the universe responds with precision. That's not magic. That's physics. Vibrational alignment is not a wish, it's a match. Now let's go deeper into the mechanics of interdimensional manifestation. Every dimension operates on a frequency band, and each of those bands holds specific realities, outcomes, and experiences. Most people are stuck in the third-dimensional feedback loop where fear, separation, and survival dominate their field. But star-chosen ones are coded to access higher bands. We are meant to bridge the third, fourth, fifth, and even higher dimensional frequencies. But we can't access those bands through force. We access them through frequency calibration, through emotional coherence, through vibrational integrity. So what does that actually look like? It looks like choosing peace over drama. It looks like choosing intuition over logic when the two don't align. It looks like regulating your nervous system so your field becomes stable enough to hold higher frequencies. It looks like gratitude not as a performance, but as a state of resonance. Gratitude is one of the fastest ways to shift dimensions, not because it's trendy, but because it aligns your vibration with expansion. When you are genuinely grateful, you are broadcasting the frequency of abundance. And abundance doesn't just respond, it rushes in. But here's the twist: to master interdimensional manifestation, you must be willing to let go of control. You must allow timelines to collapse, even when they look like failure. You must trust the redirection, even when it feels like loss. Because the quantum field is not linear, it's intelligent. It knows what you're calling in, and it knows what must dissolve for that reality to arrive. And if you resist the collapse, you delay the arrival. So when something falls apart, don't panic. Ask, what is this making space for? What timeline is now opening because this one is closing? This is quantum surrender. It's not passive. It's not weak. It's the highest form of power. Because it says, I trust the intelligence of my frequency more than the illusion of control. And that trust becomes the bridge. And that trust becomes the magnet. That trust becomes the frequency that moves mountains without lifting a finger. And when you live from that space, when your inner world becomes more real than the outer noise, you become unstoppable. Not because you're forcing your will, but because you're flowing with your divine blueprint. And now let's talk about the role of emotion. Most people are taught to fear their emotions, to suppress them, to deny them. But star-chosen ones are emotional alchemists. We feel deeply not because we're weak, but because we're wired that way. Our emotions are our tuning fork. They tell us when we're in alignment and when we're off course. They hold codes. They hold memory. They hold power. So instead of running from them, we learn to move with them. We learn to feel fully, without attachment. To let the emotion rise, pass through, and release. That's how we transmute density into light. That's how we free up energy for manifestation. Have you ever noticed that when you cry deeply, like really let it all out, you feel lighter afterward? That's not just emotional release. That's frequency release. You've just cleared energetic debris from your field. And now your signal is clearer. Your vibe is higher. Your manifestation channel is open. This is why we must stop demonizing sadness, anger, grief. They are not blocks, they are messengers. And when we feel them with presence, we unlock the energy they were guarding. We free ourselves. We expand our capacity to receive. Now I want to ask you something that may shake you a little. What if your biggest manifestations are not waiting on divine timing, but on your frequency to become safe enough to hold them? What if you're not being denied but being prepared? Could you soften into that truth? Could you stop punishing yourself for the delay and start preparing for the arrival? You see, star-chosen ones don't just manifest things. We manifest worlds. We aren't here to attract a car or a house. We're here to anchor a new way of being. A new earth. A new frequency that elevates all who come into contact with it. That's why your alignment matters. It's not selfish. It's service. When you live in truth, you give others permission to live in theirs. When you embody your multidimensional self, you activate others by proximity. Your presence becomes a transmission. And that transmission ripples across timelines. That's why we must protect our joy. Not as an escape, but as a frequency stabilizer. Joy is not a luxury, it's a portal. When you laugh, when you dance, when you create, your vibration skyrockets. And from that place, you attract with ease. You become like a star radiating light that calls things to you without effort. That's the essence of star-chosen ones. We don't chase, we emit. We don't beg, we become. And from that becoming, everything aligns. There's a shift that occurs when we finally stop seeking from the outside and begin remembering from within. That moment when we realize our ability to manifest doesn't come from effort, but from resonance. It's not about how hard we work, but how deeply we align. And in that shift, everything changes. The world that once felt solid and slow becomes fluid and responsive. Life becomes a mirror, rapidly reflecting back the frequency we're holding. And as star-chosen ones, we begin to move not as individuals chasing desires, but as interdimensional beings weaving timelines with every breath, every thought, every choice. True manifestation at the interdimensional level is not about acquiring, it's about anchoring. Anchoring the frequency of our origin, our soul's memory, into this dimension. And that frequency carries codes. Codes that override limitation, scarcity, and separation. Codes that carry the memory of unity, abundance, and divine intelligence. When you walk into a room aligned with those codes, you shift the space. When you speak from that place, people feel it in their bones. When you create from that energy, your work becomes timeless. That's the real power star-chosen ones hold, not in what we do, but in what we are. And yet, this path requires discipline. Not the rigid kind forced by fear, but the sacred discipline of devotion. Devotion to your vibration. Devotion to your boundaries. Devotion to your soul's timeline, even when the 3D world tries to seduce you back into smallness. You must learn to say no to what doesn't match your frequency, even when it looks good on paper. You must learn to walk away from comfort if it costs your alignment. Because the frequency you hold is your greatest asset, and nothing is worth lowering it, not for approval, not for money, not for temporary connection. We must also remember that manifestation isn't always loud. It doesn't always look like fireworks or instant miracles. Sometimes it's the quiet unfolding of a timeline you committed to long ago. A nudge that guides you to turn left instead of right. A whisper that tells you to rest instead of push. A gut feeling that says say yes even when your mind hesitates. These micro movements are manifestations in motion. Every time you follow your inner resonance, you are casting votes for the reality you were born to live. And the more you trust those subtle cues, the faster your external reality catches up. One of the most overlooked tools of interdimensional manifestation is the body. Your body is not just a vessel, it's an antenna. It picks up frequencies before your mind can translate them. It stores trauma, yes, but it also stores light codes. When you move your body with intention through breath, dance, stillness, or sacred movement, you activate those codes. You unlock energy that was dormant. You begin to remember not just intellectually, but viscerally. That's why embodiment practices are not optional for star-chosen ones, they are essential. The more you inhabit your body, the more fully you can channel interdimensional energy into this realm. Have you ever noticed how a single deep breath can shift your whole state? How a moment of presence can recalibrate your nervous system? That's not a coincidence. That's frequency mastery. And when you learn to regulate your energy through the body, you become a clear channel. You no longer just receive light, you radiate it. You become the portal, and everything you desire begins to orbit around you, not because you're chasing, but because you've become gravitational to your own destiny. We must also speak about sound. Sound is one of the purest carriers of frequency. Your voice is not just communication, it's activation. When you speak from alignment, from the truth of your being, your voice carries codes that awaken others. You felt it before someone says just one sentence, and something awakens in you. That's not charisma. That's frequency. As star-chosen ones, we must reclaim the power of our voice. That means speaking life, not fear. Speaking truth, not conformity. speaking vision, not limitation. What would happen if you stopped using words to describe your limitations and started using them to declare your timeline? What would shift if every conversation became a spell of expansion, a portal of possibility? This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about programming your field through language. Because every word you speak either confirms the past or creates the future. Choose wisely. Speak from the version of you who already knows, already lives it, already is it. And now let's talk about the field, the quantum field. This field doesn't respond to your need. It responds to your signal. It doesn't care what you wish for. It cares what you broadcast. That's why the work isn't how do I get what I want, but how do I become the version of me who naturally lives this reality? That's the real work. Becoming, embodying, aligning. And when you do, the field has no choice but to reorganize around you. The people, the resources, the opportunities, they don't come because you beg. They come because you match. And that's why presence is power. When you are fully present, fully in your body, fully in your knowing, you are the most magnetic being in the room. Not because of your appearance, but because of your coherence. Coherence is what happens when heart, mind, body, and soul are all aligned. And when you reach that state, manifestation becomes a natural consequence. You don't have to force. You don't have to chase. You simply harmonize. And harmony is the sound the universe responds to most. So what does a day in the life of a fully activated star-chosen one look like? It looks like waking up with gratitude, not performative, but embodied. It looks like moving your body not to fix it, but to feel it. It looks like setting intentions not from fear of lack, but from the joy of creation. It looks like having conversations that elevate, challenge, and expand. It looks like choosing silence over noise, truth over comfort, alignment over approval. And it looks like trusting that every step, even the uncertain ones, are part of a much bigger orchestration. Because when you walk in your true frequency, you're not walking alone. You're walking with your guides, your ancestors, your higher self, your star family. They are always with you, whispering, nudging, aligning. And the more you trust that, the more miraculous life becomes. You'll find yourself in the right place at the right time, again and again, not because of luck, but because you remembered how to listen. And now I ask you, are you willing to live in such alignment that your life becomes a message? Are you ready to become so authentic that your vibration speaks louder than your words? Are you willing to embody your light so fully that your presence becomes a portal for others? Because this is what it means to be a star-chosen one. You are not here to fit in. You are here to tune in. You are not here to copy. You are here to channel. You are not here to survive. You are here to broadcast a new frequency. And when enough of us hold that frequency, the entire grid shifts. The earth remembers. The field recalibrates. And the dream we came to anchor becomes reality. You are the frequency. You are the technology. You are the manifestation.